Welcome, everyone. This is Reread Business Books. I am your co host, Jackie Force,
April Blackwell.
and we are in Raleigh, Durham, where we have our book reviews. And we created this group out of our love of personal development and business books. And we are glad to share with you for this month.
Uh-oh, get it in the camera. Yeah.
4,000 Weeks Time Management for Mortals by Oliver Burkeman. And this was an interesting read, huh?
It really was. So, I called you immediately when I was into just like the foreword in chapter one. I was like, oh, this is a breath of fresh air. This is just like sort of like a juxtaposition of all the other like productivity and grind type books that we've read before, where I feel like they had their time and place in the season. But in my life right
Yeah.
now, I don't feel like hustle grind is applicable. So I love this.
It was sort of like the anti-hustle book, and it was great. So let's read a little bit about exactly what it is about. So I'm going to read just a quick little overview. So 4,000 Weeks has resonated deeply with readers because it flips the traditional productivity narrative on its head. Instead of offering hacks to do more, Berkman challenges the entire premise of time management. The core idea is simple but powerful. You only have 4,000 weeks in your lifetime. And that's if you're lucky, right?
Yeah, if you're lucky.
Yeah. Rather than optimizing every minute, the book invites readers to confront their finitude. And he keeps saying that throughout the book, the
Yeah.
reality that we cannot do everything and to find freedom in that truth. Across the reviews and discussions, a lot of people have said it's a refreshing rejection of hustle culture. And I think it came at a right time, and this is
Exactly.
for you and I
Yeah.
both being in mortgage and in real estate. 60% of our business is literally from spring to the end of summer, and it is very, very busy.
Yeah.
So we get
Yeah.
challenged with this a lot.
Yeah.
It's a philosophical, almost calming approach to time,
Mhm.
a shift from efficiency to meaning, and a reminder that trying to control everything often leads to missing what matters most.
No, I love it. And just a little bit about the author.
Mhm.
Oliver Burkeman is a British author and journalist. He used to write a weekly column called This Column Will Change Your Life for the newspaper The Guardian. And in 2021 is when he published this book for mortals. And it's a self help book on the philosophy and psychology of time management and happiness. He has a couple other books that are also in this flip the tables genre, against sort of like the culture of maybe even like positivity
Yeah.
and self-help, sort of like a cheeky approach to self-help. The one book is called The Antidote. It's happiness for people who can't stand positive thinking. And the other one is help, be slightly happier and get a little bit more done. So I mentioned those to sort of put this context around what
His
he's
approach.
about and
Right.
what,
Yeah.
his approach to
He after this book,
Mhm.
I know I think there was not in the paper copy, but in the audio, he has a sample chapter of his next one out following this one, and it's called Meditations for Mortals. 4 weeks to embrace your limitations and make time for what counts. So anyway, that's his probably most recent one.
Yes. So, a very interesting take, definitely a perspective shift. I bought in right away, but then I felt like he made his point clearly and concisely early on. And then sort of the mid part of the book towards the end, it was a little bit
Repetitive.
repetitive,
Yeah.
like making the point over and over again in different ways. But that also just might be sort of playing into our natural impatience. I felt like he was criticizing me for even doing that, although he didn't know that I would have that reaction through some of the things that he was saying in terms of like we just we are always so hurried and impatient
Yeah.
that we don't sit with the discomfort of sitting in line or sitting with an author as he takes extra time to really emphasize his point.
Right, and I feel like the way he wrote also, it wasn't like quick, get to the point, like, he sort of meandered through, and which
Yes.
was lovely. I felt like his word choice I highlighting a bunch of words because he is British and there was some definite phrasing and some
Mhm.
some words that he chose. He quotes a lot of folks in here, and so he goes sort of the long way around. And I felt it was lovely. I listened to it, and it's actually a really good listen
Yeah.
because he does have a beautiful accent, and it was nice to listen to. But I also had the book because there was some quotes and things I wanted to highlight. So I had bought the book, and I thought, well, I don't have time to read this
Yeah.
thing. It's really thick, so I'm going to listen to it.
He did give a little cred and a wink and a nod to John Acuff,
Yeah, towards the back, he
which
had
is
that.
an author that we have read in this group before.
Yeah.
So that was I always like when we can connect one author to another, or we can compare and contrast ideas and philosophies. So it was very nice to hear him pay homage to John Acuff.
Yeah, absolutely. The book has it's in two parts basically. Part one is choosing to choose, and he goes into really understanding sort of what things are meant to be. A couple of the chapters are like facing your finitude, becoming a better procrastinator, and then part two is called beyond your control. So he also then starts sort of pulling it together, the impatience spiral.
I think I was like kind of in that chapter going, oh my
Okay,
God,
good.
can you get to the point? And then I was like, oh, wait a minute. I am like exactly exemplifying what he's talking about right now. So
And it's so funny. Then he talks about the loneliness of digital nomads and, being, with people and he does go in a little bit about technology and how that is sort of pull us apart a lot. So, anyway, it was a good read. It was a very thought-provoking kind of read, but in a fun, witty way. Like, he's not super serious because you are talking about your finitude and, you only have so much time, but he does throw a little bit of witty humor in there at times as well. Do you have any standout parts, April?
you mentioned the finitude part. I think that's the crux
Yeah.
of the book.
Yeah.
Is there's only one you, and because we are created by an infinite creator who gives us infinite possibilities, we too want to do and achieve so many things. We have just one lifetime to live, and we have to accept the fact that we are not going to do it all. And or we certainly are not going to do it all at the same time,
Yeah.
right at once. And if we try, we're probably not going to be excellent at all the things that we try to do. So I did feel a lot of relief in that idea of just going, you know, there's only so much time in the day. And I did sort of feel permission to kind of the right to choose. Like I want to focus like in my business on helping customers, loving customers, and loving my family.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
these are the two things that this book really helped me to this is the core of who I am, and everything else that's going to get in the way,
Yeah.
I have to let go.
It's like prioritizing in a different
Yes.
way. And so he goes through that and that point, especially where he quotes John Acuff in the book, he talks about where John in one of his books, I can't remember exactly which one it was, but he talks about just accepting that you're going to suck at some things and just don't do those things.
Yeah.
And not that you're saying you're sucked at those things, but they are not the priority. And I guess that's what John was also saying too. For me, the book, it was a long way around, but he sort of sums it up at sort of the last chapter for me was the human disease. And I highlighted this because he asks a few questions. He starts off the book and it says, the reason time feels like such a struggle is that we're constantly attempting to master it.
Yeah.
So if you can let that go and just assume that you're going to be, you're going to suck at things. But he also has 5 questions, which was really interesting. I won't give them away, but he sort of pulls it together and he asks 5 questions that would be a reflective kind of exercise for you to do. And then he sort of rounds out the book at the end, sort of funny, is that he does give you tips. In this
Yeah.
anti-book, he does give you in his appendix
Hmm.
10 tools for embracing your finitude. But he does it in a way that does, I think, respect the subject in the book, but he does have tips.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and they were good. So, yeah, the last one, practice doing nothing. I mean, how,
Yeah.
in your,
How
in the world of
important is
impatience,
that?
just to say, I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna do nothing. And then some of his other things that he has, his book after this, in the audio, it does have a sample of his next book, which is the Meditations for Mortals, which would then go into how to maybe apply those 10
Yeah.
things. So,
You can go to his website. It's his name,
yeah.
oliverburkeman.com. He does have a newsletter.
Yes.
You can sign up for that. I think a lot of the links to the articles are definitely compatible
Mhm.
with the book and what he's about, what he stands for. Who would you say this book is for?
I don't know. So I mean, it came to us at the right time. I
Okay.
think if you are tired of the go get them, you got to do this. There's a new system. There's a new tool. You got to master it. Like you bought, and he talks about find the planner, the system, whatever. And you're just like, you know what?
I don't need one more thing.
I don't need one more thing. I think it's a refreshing take where you are with your time management
Yeah.
and how you approach it. So I would say it could be for a business person, but it could also be for just an individual that's like tired of having to keep up with keeping up.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're stressed out, burnt out, you're overwhelmed. You can't do one more thing. Helps you kind of like really separate the chaff from the grain,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
really sift what's most important with all the rest. And there's one tip he got from Warren Buffett that I'll leave with that I it kind of feeds into this is that he's reading an interview with Warren Buffett. I don't know if he actually spoke to Warren Buffett or not. I don't remember, but this came from Warren Buffett. I think there was an interview, and the interviewer asked Warren Buffett, like, what are his top tips for time management? He's like, write down your top 25
Mm.
most important things. Okay. Now circle the top five and cross out the last 20.
That's right. That is, I mean, seriously. And then sometimes in our life, that's
Yes.
just what we have to do.
Yeah. And and then the digital noise. You can't listen to every podcast. You can't watch every show on Netflix. You just even in leisure, you can be obsessed with doing too much even in your leisure time. So it really just comes down to accepting that finitude. And so if you just feel like you're being pulled in a million directions, trying to be all things to all people, doing all things, then just definitely this is a book.
Yeah.
Get your head
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it just yeah, it helps, like, sort of take a breath of fresh air and say, "I'm gonna approach these things." I mean, if you have to I mean, of course, we have to still do things and be productive people, but at the same time, it just makes you look at things a little differently. So,
Yep.
it was good.
And we don't have our next book picked out yet, primarily because this book gave us a mindset shift. And because we have acknowledged that we can't do all things all the time, all the ways and right now our businesses are the busiest they're going to be. We are going to take a break from recording the longer videos until after the end of summer. So,
Yeah.
but until then,
This is our busy season, so yes.
keep reading and
Yeah.
we'll post what we can when we can. And otherwise, we're not going to stress out about it.